Winston stopped writing, partly because he was suffering from cramp. He did not know what had made him pour out this stream of rubbish.
Hey guys, welcome back to Gen Y. My name is Mark, and I'm here with my lovely co-host Dan. I am from the UK. Dan is from the States, and we are here to ask questions that your average citizen is not asking, but should be. Today, we're going to take you through some of our news stateside and UK, and then we're going to move on to a gentleman by the name of Yuri Bezmenov, who maybe has become a little bit of a meme, like, have you seen Yuri Bezmenov? But I bet you 70%, 80% of the general population has never heard of Yuri Bezmenov. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to end it with some recommendations for some more lighter things in life. So some songs, some movies, maybe some YouTubers. And that will be what we're doing. How you doing today, Dan?
Man, honestly, I feel good. I feel really good. I feel like I'm telling you right now, guys. I want to read you something very quickly before we get started. I was reading about Theodore Roosevelt, and if you don't know who Theodore Roosevelt, probably one of the
My bad.
Oh, I was like, huh? But Theodore Roosevelt was a great president. Really not. This is Teddy Roosevelt, this guy was American-Spanish Civil War. He was a bad mamma jamma. And this is my message to you why you need to read. And it's a very short, cut few sentences. Once upon a time, in the dead of winter in the Dakota Territory, Theodore Roosevelt took off in a makeshift boat down the Little Missouri River in pursuit of a couple of thieves who had stolen his prized rowboat. After several days on the river, he caught up and got the draw on them with his trusty Winchester, at which point they surrendered. Then Roosevelt set off in a borrowed wagon to haul the thieves cross-country to justice. They headed across the snow-covered waste of the Badlands to the railhead at Dickinson, and Roosevelt walked the whole way, the entire 40 miles. It was an astonishing feat, what might be called a defining moment in Roosevelt's eventful life. But what makes it especially memorable is that during that time, he managed to read all of Anna Karenina. I often think of that when I say people don't have time to read.
Gee.
I don't think I said that last part right. The Karenina, I don't know. But I never read the book. But I'm just saying, I set a goal every day. I read a minimum of anywhere between 80 to 100 pages.
That's crazy. In a good way.
It takes about, if you're a slow reader, 80 to 100 pages, probably about an hour. But if you break it up into 10, 15-minute chunks, I'm going to read for 10 or 15 minutes, go do something else. Every time, I go for a smoke break, I just read, and I spend 10, 15 minutes. So that's just how I've been doing it and conditioning myself, and I've been loving it. So I think yesterday I read about 400 pages of a book.
Wow. Dude,
yeah.
That's a whole normal book.
Not yesterday, day before. But yeah, I've been just reading. So I just want to say, read stuff that you disagree with, read stuff you hate. But the first news story for our scheduled programming, I really wanted to talk about this because this is pretty crazy. Very short. Listen, guys, the beginning's going to be quick today, so I'm going to tell you where it is. We're both kind of cramped for time. I hope you guys understand. So I want you to go to The Guardian, which is a UK newspaper, right? Is it UK?
It's a UK far left newspaper, yeah.
Fair enough. So the title of it is called The Pegasus Project. Revealed leak uncovers global abuse of cyber surveillance weapon. And they may be far left, but this is the thing where you have to be able to separate the bias and, just understand. But this is a really good, I don't know who this guy is. It's written by some guy named, why would you put your Twitter handle and not your name? Okay.
Yeah, they have some good journalists. They have some good
they do.
Independent journalists, yeah. But they are very one-sided. But that's fine. Okay,
so basically, there's this NSO is an Israeli company, okay? NSO. And they have been selling this program called Pegasus to governments, intelligence agencies, militaries, you name it. And I think they said they have about 50 or so or 40 or so clients, which if they're telling that publicly, it's probably more. But basically what this thing is, and this is why you got to be really careful, guys, when you're talking about when you're talking about when you get text messages from people you don't know, emails, we all kind of are a little wary, but tell people who are older, let them know. These things are really out there because most things you have to agree to it. And the way it works is by you clicking on the link, it's giving access. So just be wary of those things. We've all made mistakes, but that's usually how your stuff for Facebook gets taken, not Pegasus itself. But
Or tell people that are younger if you are older and aren't sure about it.
fair enough. So they say 51% of them have sold to government bodies such as intelligence agencies are 51%. Law enforcement agencies are 30. Law enforcement agencies. That's kind of crazy too. 38%.
Yeah.
Military is 11%. They're claiming the 50,000 leaked numbers that supposedly came out is exaggerated. Just giving context here. But this is a really big issue. And one big person who actually got caught up in this was Jeff Bezos, the Prince of Saudi Arabia, because they bought Pegasus, sent him a text message because they were working on some sort of deal, and he had access to everything. Just to tell you. So this is how you got to know. They're attack vectors. So this is how they gain access and get the program installed on your phone. So they either come through SMS, WhatsApp, iMessage, or there might be some other unknown vulnerability that's not aware yet. But the capabilities, once it's installed, is they can read your text messages, email, WhatsApp chats, see photos and videos, activate your microphone, activate your camera, record calls, GPS data, calendar, and contacts book. That's a big thing. So now they can grab numbers from you and then text those numbers or send and like try to hack those phones too. So you can see a serious issue here. I just want you to be aware of it. Go to The Guardian. Once again, the title is Revealed. Leak uncovers global abuse of cyber surveillance. The Guardian. And this is a pretty serious stuff. And people have possibly died because of this. iPhone, Apple said, we have really, really good security. Well, they can hack the most up-to-date iPhone. They can't stop it. No one can stop because you're giving them access. So be very.
So they may as well have your phone.
Yeah, they have a clone. They clone your phone basically, and they can access and control like the government in the United States already does. But whatever.
Okay. My first news piece is also from The Guardian, and I'm going to make it's basically two news pieces in one. I'm not going to go deep into it because you'll get the gist. The Guardian, a bit like some of the media outlets in the US, just can't let Donald Trump go. They need someone to kind of push their conspiracies onto and to give them a reason to hate them still. So yeah, they had a front page article about Donald Trump that was titled "A Madman with Millions of Followers. What the New Trump Books Tell Us." Books show how close the US came to disaster and document an unprecedented moment in US history that is certainly far from over. This week, The Guardian reported that what are assessed to be leaked Kremlin documents describe Donald Trump as an impulsive, mentally unstable, unbalanced individual. Vladimir Putin, the documents say, decided to assist Trump's rise to power in 2016 as a way to weaken America and the West. 5 years on, as America digests a string of bombshell revelations about the last days of Trump's presidency, pulled from a string of new books, Russia's judgment seems borne out. That seems slightly unhinged to me. And then linked to that article is another Guardian article that is entitled, "I Alone Can Fix It Review. Donald Trump is a wannabe Führer." In another riveting read, General Mark Milley saw that the US was in a Reichstag moment 4 days before the Capitol riot. With this and much more startling reporting, Carol Leonnig and Philip Rucker of the Washington Post deliver the goods once again. And it just goes on to insult Trump and say he's a lunatic, and Putin thinks he's a lunatic, and he's glad he's gone. And now Putin is supplying Biden and these media outlets with essentially kind of fake, in my opinion, news that he's just using to carry on winding America up to see the infighting continue. And that's my first piece.
I'm not going to read anything from the article. I just really want you guys to go check it out. Listen, Revolver News, revolver.com, or revolver.news, excuse me. I mean, the reporting Darren J. Beatty doing over there, go read his stuff. He broke down the January 6th stuff with like the FBI. I mean, some of the best articles I've read. And this new one is called "Our Nation's Fat, Archaic, Dilapidated Airports Represent the Overall Decline of America." And that's hyperbolic what he's saying, but he gets really deep into the article about how sick we are as people, and our society is so sick because of A, B, C, or D. The thing I want to talk about very quickly is I'm just going to bang off these next two things because I'm going to do it in like 2 minutes. Texas Democrats, the ones that fled Texas, they were all vaccinated. I almost think they really weren't. Like, I'm starting to think like, oh, because, they're like elites, they don't think they think they're better. But then again, they're drones too. But they ended up getting, 5 of them ended up getting COVID. And this all came out basically a day or two after Kamala Harris had a big pictures with all of them, hugging, high-fiving, no mask, like whatever. Because honestly, who cares? I don't care about that. I just think the hypocrisy is hilarious. And while people in LA County now have to remask and all this crap, it's completely ridiculous. So that's pretty funny. Kamala she did say, she tweeted out, so you can read into this what you want. She said, Delta variant is no joke. Get vaccinated. So that to me, would make me assumed when I read that, like, oh, she might have it. She might have Delta. Last thing I want to bring up very quickly is Brandy Love. Brandy Love is an adult entertainment or adult entertainer, whatever you think about that industry. I completely understand. I think it can be unhealthy if misused and overused, just like anything else. Exactly. But she went to Turning Point USA. She got paid the $500 for the VIP badge and everything, like, adult. She says adult on there, like, so they know it's for kids. Turning Point USA is for like young teenagers, college students, because they're kids. She's a conservative. She is a she loves Trump. She's MAGA. She's all into that stuff. So she went to see the youth. She wanted to be a part. Her kids are like right leaning too. So it was like this thing. Well, they kicked her out of the event when they found out she was there. And listen, she was professional looking and everything. And it stirred up this big thing on the right. And it blew my mind. I'm sorry. Do you want to say something?
Yeah, I was just going to say, so is Turning Point the Charlie Kirk organization?
Yes, exactly. So, and this is true. This is a real issue. There's nothing wrong with being Christian or whatever, but when it makes you can be a bigot for real. Like, that's bigoted.
Absolutely, like you can, man.
Her profession. It's her profession. She's not sitting there trying to get kids to watch porn. She's there to support the movement, and we should accept these people. Now, if your profession is, I don't know, like Epstein, and you're like fucking kids, yeah, you can go eat shit and die. But I am not gonna like lambaste somebody that I've made love to in my mind. No, I'm kidding. But like no, but she's an entertainer, and I don't care what your profession is. If you're an American first and you believe in American exceptionalism, and actually look at the problems we have, and you want to actually do something about it, I don't give a shit what your job is. You could be from Raytheon, and you're like, I think this is wrong. You're on my side, dude.
Yeah, so right. That's a very good example.
Yeah, like, I don't care. You could be, General Milley, if he came out and he was like, hey, man, I think actually I was wrong. Yeah, I fucked up, man. But anyway, yeah, that's the last thing. I think I just say I support Brandy Love and her being there in the movement. And anybody who says otherwise, you're not a conservative. You're not a real conservative, because what are you trying to conserve? You trying to conserve your religion? Or are you trying to conserve American ideals and principles and values? And if I don't care, the Supreme Court, you can make porn. It's legal. What are we talking about?
I mean, as well, their opinion towards porn stars, look, everybody, if they're being honest, they don't want their daughter to grow up and be a porn star. We get it. But like, if you've had a difficult time in life, which a lot of these people have, and you somehow manage to kind of crawl up out of the gutter, and you actually manage to make $1,600 a day, and you can turn your life around, and your health, they try and make sure they're healthy and give them tests. So I hear, and that sort of thing. Then good for you. And it does worry me. We saw at CPAC somebody who, I've seen him say some untoward things, and I know that he is a professional troll. But they banned him, and they were banning other people, and I think, like, hold on, if one of our big shticks is
I know,
like
I
the
know.
left are censorious, arseholes. Okay, not arseholes. I'm sorry. The left are censorious, and they like to be, very much in control, and who can come in and who can't, and who can come into my group and who can't. But then suddenly, like, it seems to be more the establishment conservatives, but either way, they're still conservatives saying to people you can't come in. To me, that's absurd.
I want to start a new movement called constitutionalist extremists. Like that's it. I don't care if you believe in the Constitution, what it really says, not this Supreme Court, like blah blah blah. I don't care anymore. The Constitution is very simply worded. These are not complicated things. You have the right to express yourself. Okay, that's it. You have freedom of assembly. I don't care. Like, as long as you're not exposing my kid to something like nudity or like public indecency, like those things are whatever. Even though Pride happens every freaking year, no one cares.
I was thinking that when you first brought it up.
Right.
Like,
But like
hypocrisy is
pornography can be a bad thing, but it's because people are apathetic. They don't, and like Tinder is a big part of the problem. It's not just porn. I know plenty of couples that watch pornography together and they like it. That's their personal choice. I don't have to be involved in that. So I think that kind of gets to the bigger, topic is like, because they're viewing Brandy Love. Actually, why don't you introduce the?
Let me just do one last news thing real quick, because we said.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's cool, dude. No worries. Me and Dan actually did about an hour and a quarter of setup, and then a 2 hour and 20-minute show for you guys. We were trying to make it better, which is why we were doing a lot of setup, and then we found out that the problem we had in the beginning, once we finished the show and we were editing, we found out that it had come back about 10 minutes into the show.
It was like COVID. You didn't know you had it until you're too late.
Right, right. So, yeah. So this was quite kind of an upbeat, good bit of news once. We have a lot of things that, are kind of depressing, because obviously we're trying to confront difficulties in our societies. And this was a reasonably, I guess it depends on your view, but I think it was a fairly good bit of news. Even though, for the Americans, unfortunately, it's not for America, but in the UK, Breitbart reports new police commissioner bans contact with Black Lives Matter. The new police and crime commissioner of Leicestershire, which is a big county in UK. Counties are bigger in the UK than are America, so it's not a small thing. For Leicestershire, has banned his staff from communicating with Black Lives Matter UK activists because the Marxist group. He said this because the Marxist group wants to defund the police, has put police officers in hospital, and has desecrated the cenotaph in London. They also want to tear down our institutions and promote the destruction of the nuclear family. How many times have you heard a police commissioner say that? Conservative Party candidate Rupert Matthews was elected as the Police and Crime Commissioner for Leicestershire in the May 2021 local election, taking the role from the Labour Party's Willie Backs. A commissioner is responsible for holding the chief constable to account. As an elected official, he's the voice of the local community in policing matters. Writing for the political news website Conservative Home in a diary-style entry entitled Day 3, Mr. Matthews remarked that on reading the agenda for that afternoon's meetings, he noted a point on meeting with Black Lives Matter. Hang on, why are we meeting an organisation that wants to defund the police, has put police officers in hospital, and has desecrated the cenotaph in London? Police Commissioner Matthews wrote. Anyway, you get the idea. He's basically said, look, we're not going to go out there wearing rainbows and like flying flags for a Marxist organisation. It's not the words. The words Black Lives Matter are patently obvious. That's not what they're getting involved, what they're being asked to get involved in. It is a self-professed Marxist organisation. And that leads us in to our next segment.
Absolutely.
So we're going to play you a very quick. How would you describe it, Dan? The one that you sent me.
A historical record of how Marxist practice.
Handbook.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the handbook training manual, wasn't it? Is that right?
I don't know exactly what manual or what, but listen, the thing is this. It's from like the 1950s, 1940s, 1950s, and just listen to what he reads from this book. It is some sort of communist handbook that he must be reading from.
Okay, ready? That's good.
In 1943, the following directive was issued from party headquarters to all communists in the United States. It read, "When certain obstructionists become too irritating, label them after suitable buildups as fascist or Nazi or anti-Semitic, and use the prestige of anti-fascist and tolerance organizations to discredit them. In the public mind, constantly associate those who oppose us with those names which already have a bad smell. The association will, after enough repetition, become fact in the public mind."
Sounds familiar, doesn't it?
Right here. Goliath, dude. Google's in on it, all these people. And these subversion tactics have been around for a long time. This is basic predictive programming, psychological warfare. That's pretty wild stuff, man. I like just hearing that from a guy from the 1940s or 50s, and you're like, oh my God, that's exactly what they're doing. The founders of BLM, or the main people of BLM.Inc., they're the ones that have said, yeah, we're well-trained Marxists.
Yeah, and not just BLM, like, it's all of these sort of regressive, far leftist organizations. And I've heard things like that before. I'd heard like glimmers of they're still using the same techniques that they were in the 40s and 50s, but I'd never heard an actual dude from the late 40s reading the book in front of him saying exactly what's going on now. If someone doesn't do things your way, label them as Nazi, fascist, homophobic. And you see it now, obviously it's spread out now to Islamophobic and transphobic and everything phobic. And they're just playing the game exactly like they did back then, and there is proof.
Well, I mean, I think this is this is where idealists are a problem. This is where even in America, we're like the idea of America exceptionalism. I know I just used it earlier, but like, no, America's not always exceptional. We do some pretty awful shit, whether it's to our own people or to people over the world. It's the only way you can grow is if you recognize certain things about your country. It's not bad to say, America's done bad things in the past. We know these things. They teach us these things for a reason, so they don't happen again. But the way they're doing this crap, critical race applied praxis or principles, just for example, really good example of a subversion. So this is what Yuri Bezmenov, is that his name?
Bezmenov. Yuri
Bezmenov. Thank you. Yuri really talks about subversion is the way. Like, and there's multiple stages. There's this, that, and the other, and they manufacture a crisis as one of those things. So like racism, you have the crisis. So now they're trying to fix it by subvert, like, this is an emergency, we have to do these things. This is the way actually all governments work. It doesn't have to be communist or not. Because if you look at government as a study, like a hypothesis of government, any government, there's one control in every single government. It's man. Man's going to find a way to screw something up or get powerful or abuse it. Which is why I'm kind of like, I'm not really for that anymore. But you have Hasbro. Project Veritas did a 30-minute video yesterday where I'm not even going to say the man's race because it doesn't matter. He's a man. He's got courage. He's brave. He works in the advertising engineering department of Hasbro, which is a children's toy company. And he was so horrified by, like, they had to come to this meeting. And, this organization does this for all these corporations, like major ones, like big corporations, Nickelodeon, just like he was naming them off, and I'm like, holy crap. And the things they're saying is basically when you're like 2 years old, you could start being racist and blah, 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 blah. Like, what? Are you surprised, honestly?
No, I'm not surprised.
Exactly.
Just appalls me.
It's just disgusting.
Yeah.
But this man is brave. But this is what they do. So now they're trying to, and we see it. We see Nickelodeon with transgender stuff, and
Yep.
like they're singing songs and the BLM fist. It's like, what the? Who's letting their kids watch this junk?
Dude, if you for anybody out there that is listening to this, go back and watch a video that I did on my own yesterday. It's called Off the Cuff, where I'm interviewing a young English schoolboy, and he tells a story of a mixed race kid, I believe, or a black kid, I can't remember exactly, and this is not this kid's fault. He was in the middle of the playground, and in playtime, break time, whatever they called it, a group of like 60 children, like it started off with 3 or 4 of what they call the rainbow kids, which are kids that are like 11 and they identify as polygender, blah blah blah. They just randomly began to get on their knees and like chant things like we apologize for the crimes of our, and apparently it ended up with like 40 or 50 children like just in a circle around this kid. And yeah, from what I hear, like to begin with, he just looked really awkward, like what the hell's going on, like I just want to be in my break time.
I just want to be a kid.
Yeah,
I just want to not think about this shit.
Yeah, and then towards the end, and listen, I don't blame him for this reaction because, first of all, who knows how any of us would react in this circumstance? And also, there's so much propaganda now that they're messing with their minds. But from what I hear, towards the end, he was kind of enjoying it, which I guess anyone would. You're a kid.
So it feels good to be praised.
Yeah,
to be
right.
loved,
people are apologizing and saying we're so sorry, you're amazing, and so I definitely don't blame him. But it's exactly the same thing. Well,
that's the thing. Get your kids out of school. If you're keeping your kids in schools now with the NEA right here, it's the largest 3 million teachers in the United States. So that's tens of thousands of schools across the United States. I mean, it's the largest teachers union in the USA. And forgive me while I pull it up, but yeah, no, you're about to be like, what?
Yeah, and I would say as well, if you can't for any reason pull your kid out of school, because there obviously will be people that it's just not possible to do that, then you should do what we've seen them doing in America, like Loudoun County, and get together with other parents who, trust me, the majority of which, whether they're moderate left or whatever, or apolitical, I can guarantee you that the majority of them will feel exactly like you do, and they will want to gather together and go to the school and say, look, this is ridiculous. They're 11 years old. Stop brainwashing my child, or this will go to the papers and more, and and then we'll go to court, etc., etc.
Yes, and the thing is this, honestly, no, I disagree humbly. I say pull your kids out completely.
But not everyone can pull their kids out, especially in this country.
I don't know. Do you love your children? That's the way I look at it. Do you want your kid to grow up? Like, no, I'm sorry. Like for me,
but it's not. Listen, Dan, it's not black and white like that for everyone. It seems like that when you don't have a child and you're thinking about the theory, but when you're actually there, then sometimes it's not black and white.
Well, I will tell you this much: if the Nazis were coming to my home telling me that Jews are worthy of dying, I'm pulling my kid out of that institution.
I know, but it's slow and steady.
And that's why
slow and steady.
No, but that's why if you're not going to do a radical change, a radical reaction.
No. I'm not saying we should be slow and steady. I'm saying for parents that are busy at work, right? The system is such now that in 90% of homes plus in the UK, both parents are in full-time jobs. And when it's not literally like one day your child is suddenly spewing all this stuff, it's literally like each 6 months, it's just another drip where they just become slightly more strange, and the parents are like, that's weird, but I guess. And then 6 months go by and another thing, that's weird. What I'm saying is it's not that they go into school and they're completely normal and then the next day they're completely insane.
No, I understand that. Okay, but what we're talking about is your children. Your children. This is not a discussion. Like, I don't have kids, but I have a nephew. I have people I love in my life that are, underage. That sounds awful. God, Jesus. But, I mean, like people that I care about. And if I don't want my nephew being exposed to this crap. And like the thing is this. Yeah, I understand life is tough. Like you got to work 2 jobs. Blame that on your government for forcing that on you through minimum wages, through doing all this like crap. Minimum wage is like
money printing, forcing to pay us for the mortgage.
I don't know your banking system in the UK, but like
it's
do you
the
guys
same
have a
yours.
Yeah, see, it's a joke. This is the things we need to change.
Yep.
The thing is this: if no one went to work,
Mm-hmm.
if everybody just said we're not doing it anymore, and everyone who worked at Amazon, everyone who did this, they have to comply. Stop being afraid. Stand up for your kids. Stand up for your country. Stand up for principles, for good morals, not this Marxist crap. If you don't, and you just play into their hand, you're giving them an inch. They're gonna take them on. And I know like this stuff. Like I understand I don't have a kid. That's a fair point.
I wasn't addressing that to you. I'm just saying in general. Like I was just saying, like before I had a kid, I was like, every single thing that's the best in the world I'm going to do for the kid. But then obviously when you're in life, like life takes over, and however much you love your kid, it is very difficult to do every single thing that you want to do for your kid. But I completely agree that is the ideal solution.
The ideal solution. There is no ideal. Don't be idealistic. Be realistic. Know that your kid.
But if you have a choice A and B, and one is good and the other is terrible, then that is the ideal solution.
Idealism is bad, in my opinion. I think idealism.
Yeah, but that's different from. We don't need to argue about whether something's ideal or not if you've got a choice between shit and excellent.
Language matters, right? Like it really does. Like we got to talk about the mechanical application of idealism. It's almost impossible to do all the time. There are certain situations where you can.
I know.
It's like
I'm just not talking about idealism. I was just using the phrase "that's ideal." Very common English phrase.
I understand, but I'm like we need to be careful of our language too. That's all. I understand what you mean. It's just we need to be serious about this because the NEA, which is National Education Association, which was founded by socialists in America, June 30th, members of the National Education Association, the nation's largest teachers union, voted to approve a plan to promote critical race theory in all 50 states. Union delegates representing 3 million public school employees approved funding for 3 separate items related to increasing the implementation of critical race theory in K-12 curricula, promoting critical race theory in 14,000 local school districts, and attacking opponents of critical race theory, including parent organizations and conservative research centers. That's from the NEA. This is what they're doing. So
it's insane.
That's why unions are bad.
The thing that worries me as well, like, because I have 2 people very close to me in my life who homeschool their kids. The other thing as well is like if you've been divorced or you split up, which again is not ideal, but if that's the case and like you don't have custody, then in this country you have 0 conversation about where your child goes to school. So that would be another example of sometimes it's not possible. But what I would say, what worries me, like going forward, is that if we've got, I just believe, and now I could be wrong, but I believe this is going to be the case, that it will always be the case that the majority of children are in the state-run school system. Now I could be proven wrong, but I think that will be the case for whatever reason. So I think if we get to a point where, let's say, 75% of people graduating university have been in the state-run school system from K through 21, 22, those people will be the ones put into positions of power, whether it be in industry, whether it be in government. And at that point, that's something I definitely worry about. And I'm not saying this is a negative necessarily, but it's something I definitely worry about when we talk about schooling and taking your kids out of school, is that if we back away from everything, like so we stop watching stuff that we disagree with, we quit work because they're flying a BLM flag, we pull our kids out of school because they're too much into LGBTQIAP+, and whatever else, Marxism and all the rest of it, I definitely worry, and this is not being me provocative, this is me like opening my heart, I worry that one day, like everything, all of the positions of power will just be filled with these brainwashed kids because nobody fought back in the institutions they just left.
Who gives them power?
The majority of people.
Just people, right?
Correct.
We give them their power. We give them our...
the majority of citizens, yeah.
Right. Screw them. Don't listen. Don't comply. Don't play their game.
I know, but what I'm saying is if the vast majority of people agree with them.
Create your own systems.
Yeah, okay.
Just be like, okay, we're going to elect our own government. We're going to do our own thing. Bye. That's what it takes. The only thing they have is their authority, the illusion of their authority. There's the thing is, because like what you're afraid of and what most people would be afraid of, anybody, it would be that they would send the police after you, come arrest you for you creating some sort of radical thing. They're just going to come, like, yes, they would. And that's why police are bad, because they're the ones who are going to come do those things. You have the right as a human being to not partake in a system. You have a right to not to. It's your human right, in my opinion. Like in America, you can go create a commune. Go do what the heck you want.
Yeah.
Go do what you want. Set up a nonprofit. You got the 501c3, and you can go get nonprofit status because you're there. Like, whatever, we can figure it out. But I'm not going to live the way the government tells me to live anymore. I'm not going to do what they tell me,
Yeah, no, I get it. So genuine question again, like I'm not being provocative. You feel like it's more I won't use that word, it's better to just break off and be a small group of people that currently, but not necessarily in the future, agree with your ways of thinking, our ways of thinking, and then you leave like the vast majority to sort of keep 90% of what they have, or not? I'm misunderstanding that.
What I'm saying is, like, in America, I can't speak for UK.
Yeah.
You can buy land as a collective, go farm on it, be a commune, and work together. No one's stopping you from doing that.
Yeah.
What the communists try to do is try to impose on everybody. The problem is we have government, which is run by people. That's just a fact. Yeah. And they are trying to impose their will on me. That's wrong. That shouldn't be okay. So, like, when you have a true democracy, like you guys have a true democracy in or do you guys have a representative democracy? How is it considered representative?
It's I believe it's representative, yeah.
But there are things that you can like Brexit was a true democracy vote.
Yeah, that was So we do have from time to time. It's quite, I guess it's kind of good in a way because it's very mixed. But yeah, in that case, it was just a referendum. So it's literally just, if you want to vote, you could vote. Obviously, only something like 60% of people voted because, as I always say to people, a huge chunk of the population in countries just don't give a shit and never will.
Okay, so do you think if 90% of the people in the UK wanted to disband the government, would the government give up its power through a vote?
No, if 90% did.
Yep.
I don't know, man. That's like kind of edging towards no, but then they didn't want to do Brexit, and I think only like 40% of the country wanted Brexit, and they did that. But maybe now they'll never do anything again because they gave the people a choice, not wanting to leave the European Union, because obviously the European Union, for those that don't fully understand, 40 years ago, Europe was obviously 28 different countries, or roughly. I mean, it grows every now and again as they kind of suck up another country. Everybody had their own individual country. And then because they saw the threat at the time from Russia being very large, they basically banded the countries together to form a huge trading zone. So all of the trade deals were for Europe as a whole. So instead of like Luxembourg buying 100 tomatoes, Europe was buying 8 billion tomatoes, so they were getting them for the cheaper price. And then it just got to the point where they were bringing in so many small countries that the two big countries, which are Germany and the UK, and France, who is sort of a step down, but still big, was sort of covering the cost. And it was just costing them a lot of money. And so that's why you ended up having the vote. And obviously the majority of the elites didn't want to leave for several reasons. The two main ones are that they believed that it was better to stay in a larger group, safety in numbers type deal, because Europe is the biggest. The EU is the biggest, country, if you like, in the world. Like, it has bigger numbers than America. They order more stuff than America. They sell more stuff than America, and same with China. But it's still in that phase of being fractured. Like, it's still not really, like if you asked a Frenchman, what's your nationality? He's going to say French. But technically, he's a European. Like he's a member of, if you reverse it, the Union of Europe, like the like the United States. The United States of Europe is what the EU is. So the elites didn't want to leave that big kind of safe haven. And also, we've had this groundswell since the mid-90s of socialism and sort of, I don't know, like postmodernist socialism coming up through Europe, France and Germany, into the UK, America. We've kind of had this groundswell of that. And that was the other reason, was because I believe that they thought the people that voted for Brexit were the people that kind of wanted life to go, not to go back to like it was in the 40s, but just to actually know who was laying out their rules, because no one knew who the people voted in to the European Union were. No one had ever heard their names, and then you'd find out 10 years later they're actually like a multi-billionaire, but refused to give Forbes their information to put them in the richest list. So, yeah, it was pretty crazy. And just long-winded digression, but yeah, that was why I think they might never give us a vote like that again, but we shall see.
Yeah. And that's where democracy is a farce. 51% of the population can control 49% of the population can't work. We've been saying that constitutional republic isn't working in the United States because the checks and balances aren't working because of the centralization of power in the federal government and the wealth that is generated from the federal government, the Federal Reserve, which JFK was actually trying to end the Fed. And we all know what happened to JFK. The unmitigated disaster of government every single time it leads to the same place. Mass death, carnage, destruction, misery, every single time. You have to listen to people like Tolstoy. You have to read him. You have to read Solzhenitsyn. You have to listen to Michael Malice, whose grandmother, Lex Friedman and him did an amazing episode. It's the most human I've ever seen Michael Malice or Lex Friedman. I've never seen a person shook from only like a couple lines of a song spoken in Russian where Michael Malice literally starts crying and like shaking uncontrollably almost for a period of time. People think we have short-term memories. We don't. That's a lie. We have, once you've experienced something, there's no going back. So when you see these people who have been at the hand of the state and have been abused more than and brutalized more than anybody else, those are the people you have to read, because they're the ones that know the true power of the state, and they're coming for you. They're always coming for you. They may not be coming for you at this moment, but they're always edging towards that to centralize their power. Like the thing is, and like, I don't know if I'm a full anarchist. I don't know what I am. I'm exploring. But there is certain things that are just fundamentally wrong about me giving up my power, my self-governance, my self-responsibility to some sort of system.
Well, I suppose the argument is going to be you do that for the same reason that the EU existed, like it's safety in numbers. If everybody in, like, I know that you'll argue against this, but if everybody in the US was independent, you might get groups that band together and then they dominate other groups. Or maybe they don't. Maybe everyone just lives like on their own little homestead. But if you're all living on a homestead, like making your food, growing your food, making your food, growing your family, and then you have this giant like behemoth, or I think they call it a behemoth in America, coming across from China, with nuclear weapons, and they're like, submit. It's the reason that people give up some of their freedom, I guess. This is literally a 10-second thought, is for the benefit of, well, like, look at benefits. Like some people get benefit from the government. They wouldn't if that didn't happen. And some people also, they benefit from the military, like, which they wouldn't if they're on their own. And this, I guess that's why, like, it's just, you're sort of sacrificing a bit of freedom to gain some security. And I get the old saying of like those that are willing to give up freedom for
those who exchange freedom for security
comfort.
deserve neither.
Yes. So Yeah, I think it's. I also think it's so difficult for us to really have an educated view on because we've never seen a country that's been anarchistic.
Yeah, we have. There's one in Mexico right now. They have no laws,
So
no
we've never
government.
seen a country that's anarchistic.
There's in Mexico, near Mexico. I
Right,
can't
but
remember the name
Mexico's a
of the.
country. You're talking about one town.
No, I'm talking. Yeah, they
Yeah, but
seceded.
I was saying
They
we've
have
never
the.
seen a country
There
that
is
is
no country.
anarchistic. Yeah, that's what I was
That's the
saying.
whole point. There is no country.
I,
There is. Listen to me. There is a, if you want to call it a country,
mhm.
where they do not. It's in South America. I can't remember the name of it right now.
No, I
Where
know the one
it's
you're
like
talking about.
yeah,
It's
it's like
3,000
eight,
people.
3,000 people. Yeah, it's like three
Yeah.
or 5,000. And the thing is this: what's the alternative? What are you offering me besides the same thing we've done for the last few thousand years? Like
Yeah.
I'm offering something that's like it could be bad,
But
but it
what's
could
wrong
be
with
better.
your life? Like, I always find this amazing when I speak to people that live in the best country with the most freedom, the cheapest living costs. Like, your life is the best of anyone on
It's
this
not because of
planet.
the government. The government makes it all worse.
But
You're
tell me
think that's
what's bad about your life, like, to a
it's not
degree
about
that you.
bad, man. It's not about bad.
So why change it? You're only here for a short time. Like, why cause massive upheaval if your life's fairly good?
Massive upheaval. While
Yeah.
3.5 million people die in the Middle East, I shouldn't be upset about that. I
I'm not
shouldn't be
saying you shouldn't be
upset. I
upset.
shouldn't be upset
Um,
that the government is working with Facebook to censor my voice and my people.
yeah,
Okay,
I get it.
that
I
the
understand
intelligence
that.
agencies, like these, it's not about my creature comforts. I would give all this up to be
I'm not
free.
talking about your creature comforts. I'm talking about your life. So life is about enjoying life, keeping fed,
Yes.
keeping sheltered, and if you can, growing a family.
Mhm.
I would say that America, for like warts and all, has managed to give a lot of people an incredible life.
Mhm.
And that doesn't mean that, like, well, at the cost of whatever else, I'm happy to have that. Like, if you want to give back, if you want to have your fuel at $20 a gallon, but that means that, say, Indonesia don't have to pay, they can pay like a better price as well. So you're kind of balancing it out. Then obviously you could do that. But like, I just think, not maybe I shouldn't aim it at you, but like just that an average American, I think it's going to be so difficult to kind of go up to some dude that's paying, like a tenth of the price that they pay in Europe for fuel and just having an amazing life. All their kids are playing sports. Like,
I guess it's the psychological brainwashing. The state-run schools, you go into state-run organizations, you're taught these things.
yeah, I agree.
Like
I agree.
so it's listen, America's not a bad place.
No, it's the
That doesn't
best
mean
place.
it's well, is it? I
Yeah,
don't know. And it may be. Listen, I've been all over the world. I've been to
me too.
countries. I know what it's like. I
Yeah.
get it. But I'm
Actually, that's a
telling you,
good thing. Give us an example of some countries that you think
Turkey.
are similar to America.
Oh, similar?
Yeah,
Nowhere. There is nowhere that's similar to America. I'll be the first to admit that.
that's
But
cool.
that's like being on top of the shit pile and thinking you're not shit. Like, no, we are the living and the quality of life. All these things are
Mm.
great. But the government is my issue. The
But
government.
what is the government doing to you that's causing you so much grief? Like, I understand you're saying the censorship, but what has that affected you
Listen,
that's
they take
making
money out of
it?
my pocket.
They
That's an
take
issue.
money out of your pocket.
Absolutely, taxes. They take money out of my pocket. Then when I go try to take that money that I've already been taxed on, they go to Wall Street and I try to be a private investor and try to make a little bit of cash, and I got to pay taxes on that too. Okay, you want to talk about invasion of every policy in every part of my life? I have to have a driver's license. I have to freaking register my car. Have car insurance. I have to have everything regulated, controlled, mandated, lawed into my life just so I can fucking exist. Like, I don't need the government to, like, I will give up every benefit I ever had from the military. I would give it up gladly.
Yeah,
I
but
will not I
that's
will not get the vaccine. They shut down my country for a year. They closed small businesses, the largest transfer of wealth in human history. They printed 35% of all US money with no repercussions. Elites get away with things constantly. Hunter Biden falsified a federal document. Like we live in a two different worlds. I am not. They are Americans. They get to do whatever they want. I'm a serf. I'm a slave. When I was in the military, I willingly gave up my rights. I said, I'm making a contract with the federal government saying I will give up my freedom of speech in certain ways. My freedom of assembly. I have, we can still do those things, but it's limited. You can't talk shit about the president. You can't.
Really?
Hell no.
Wow.
Dude,
man.
I know a guy who talked shit about Obama, got in trouble at work. Article 15, which means you lose your rank. They take your rank from for saying he's a terrible president, terrible commander in chief. I would never listen to that guy. Long story short,
he's technically your
commander in chief. But this is the thing. Like, listen, dude, I have been a slave, a servant. I've done it. I've served my nation. I believe in the Constitution that much. When I got out and I started realizing something, I was like, oh my God, they're trying to turn us all into the military. The military is communism. You have forced equity. No matter what job you are, you're put into class systems.
It's definitely socialism, 100%.
No, it's communism.
Okay.
It's
what's
forced
difference?
equity.
Just define me, because I can't never remember the exact differences.
Socialism is when the workers own means production. Communism is when the government owns the majority of means production.
Oh, yeah. So then I guess it is communism. Yeah.
It's 100% communism. The federal government owns me, tells me what to do. I'm not even kidding. I am U.S. government property.
Wow.
Like, I am literally legally defined as property. Okay? Because you know what happens if I get a really bad sunburn? Destruction to government property.
Fuck off.
Yes,
Really?
they can give you can get in trouble for that. I swear to God.
Jesus Christ.
Like, listen, dude, I have given this up. I know what it's like to have no control over my life and to have minor freedoms, right? Minor freedoms. But I willingly went into that contract understanding I was about to get screwed. I just knew it. Because everyone knows it. That's what you do. You sign up for your country. You're going to make sacrifices. I got a letter from the Veteran Affairs the other day. Hey, Mr. Deegan, we know you served your country before, but we need you to step up again and serve your country by getting the vaccine. Like, this is, that using that against me. Absolutely. Now, listen, what they're doing in the United States is trying to create a regimented society that is controlled by centralized power, the federal government. That's not America. Okay? That's communism. Now, it's like, if I do have a problem for that, and I would burn the whole system down before I let that happen. I would rather it have nothing, where at least I have my Constitution and I can believe in that. I can share those beliefs with my family. And that's more important, because some big corporation, what do you think, a corporation or China is going to come over here when we have 65% of the world's guns in our nation? And then there's no laws regulating people from having guns. So now we're just going to have more manufacturing. Huh?
Yeah, I was just going to say, they're so far away from where we are. I don't think we could ever even know whether they would or whether they wouldn't. I mean, I guess if you have 1.5 billion people that are organized and they wanted to come over, like, say they were like, we need to mine something that you didn't know was in the middle of Colorado and we're going to come over and mine it whether you like it or not. I suppose with their size and strength versus people that are like not arranged or not necessarily organized, they might be, but they're not going to be organized in numbers of 200 million. Then I guess they could. But it's so far away from where we are. Like, these things are beyond hyperbolic and almost fantastical.
No, but that's the thing. It's not fantastical. This is where...
To think that China wouldn't come to a completely anarchistic America.
Because you think that we need a president. The president stopping China?
No. I'm saying to even talk about whether China in the future would come to an anarchist country. Right. Yeah. I'm just saying it's like so this. Far.
Let's say America becomes anarchy. You don't think Mexico's not going to protect us? They have a vested interest in us. They have a vested interest. You think UK wouldn't protect us? UK wouldn't. The thing is this. We would still have all these things. All these things would still exist. Everything would be the exact same. You're just not being told what to do with your.
You think everything would be the same? So let me ask you this. And I'm so interested in this because
yes,
I've never spoken to like anyone even remotely close to anarchy, and I've always found it very, really interesting because I dig like the basic idea, but I just think like a lot of anarchists always go, "Don't give me the hypotheticals." But I feel like we have to answer some of the hypotheticals, which you've done.
Well, give me a
because
problem.
Without that, sorry.
Give me a problem that you have,
Yeah.
And let's see how, like, I'm not an expert. I'm still exploring, but I
Yeah,
can try to
I just-
answer the best I can. Give me something that you think that exists
Yeah.
today and
Yeah.
that would be worse without the government.
Okay. So, oh man, it sounds like I'm siding with. Okay, I'll do this for a hypothetical question. So one thing I've always wondered when I hear anarchists talk about it being like because I guess you can't. The whole point of anarchy is you can't force people into being anarchy. So you're still going to end up with
Anarchy
some people
is
that.
a social agreement. It's a
Yeah,
social contract.
exactly.
Everyone just kind of
So
does their own thing, you know?
yeah, so I guess you would have a portion of America, if whoever remains as America, like with a government.
Oh, we would still be Americans. This would be
Yeah.
America.
No, but hold on, because I need to kind of so not all of the 350 million people in America would be anarchists. I assume not every single person. You would still have the Bidens and like all of the establishment would want to keep that because they obviously like that system, and I think they would keep the majority of the sort of upper middle classes and middle classes. So let's say that they keep that, they'd keep Old Glory, they would keep the dollar, and they'd keep all their shit, and they would be wherever they are, whether it be the coasts or maybe a horseshoe shape or whatever. And then you've got like this huge chunk, let's just say for argument's sake, of like the heartlands, and that chunk is going to be, let's call it the USAA, the
Yeah, there you
United
go. That
States
sounds
of
scary.
American Anarchy. Let's say the USAA is the heartlands, right? It's so difficult but okay, let's just say that exists.
You're really making
My
this
first,
complicated, Mark.
I know, because I can't say that America would all be anarchistic because I just don't think they would. Like, I don't think you're ever going
Uh-huh.
to say to like the establishment and all of the people that rely on them and the people that are not into politics and they're just like, look, just leave me alone as long as I've got 11 aircraft
That is
carriers
anarchy.
on my back.
Yeah.
So
But like, so what's the broader, I guess, thing then? What
yeah,
do you
so
mean?
this is what I'm heading to. So let's just say a portion of America goes anarchistic. Why would you were saying like nothing is going to change around that? Like why would people still want to behave the same way when you haven't got, say, a group of people supplying you with like billions of dollars worth of weapons or billions of dollars worth of oil? Like, why would nothing at all change?
Okay. For one, why the heck do you think the upper middle class would? Who feeds them? Who gives them energy? Who gets their
Yeah,
oil?
no, I get it,
No,
but what they
just
would.
listen.
Okay.
They need us. So they can't play. They can live in their little fictitious world and do whatever. They need us. So they are part of an anarchist agreement. The whole world is anarchist in agreement. I mean, the UK and us have and the America have a social contract. This podcast, we have a social contract. We just function. Why are we not killing each other? You guys screw us over sometimes. We screw you over sometimes. Why aren't we killing each other? Because it's about social agreement. Because we know, yeah, we may bicker, we may get a little like, whatever, but it benefits us to trade, to organ, and to stay friendly.
Yeah.
It's the same way down on a county to county, city to city, farmer to farmer. You may not like the guy, but you don't want to kill the guy. That's just human nature.
Okay.
The things that the only times in history is when you have people who are organized by states and power that like have a central figurehead that controls, as a dictator, you name it. They are the ones who kill people and their followers blindly. Now in the anarchists, because this is the thing. There is a real open market, a free market economy, but the whole idea would be this: nothing would change in your everyday life because you're not a murderer. You're not crazy. There's crazies out there, but guess what? Now you live in New York City and you can own a gun without being arrested by the police because the police don't exist.
What if you don't want to shoot someone?
That sounds like you're going to die. I'm sorry. But if you have a gun or not, and someone's trying to kill you and you don't defend yourself,
Fuck
like,
it, you die.
you
So
die.
I guess those types of people would want to live somewhere with organization because
But you can hire private security.
the thing I always think when people talk about private security is who is going to need private security the most, the rich or the poor?
No, the poor can defend themselves. The rich are always going to be the targets with their own guns.
So the rich, let's just say that each rich person has a private security of like 5,000 people.
Uh-huh.
Okay. You've got poor like towns and cities, or like inner cities. Let's just say you've got an inner city area with 500,000 people, or like 100,000 people, and there's crime in the same way like that we see it today. That there's crime, people trying to rob each other because they're not going to travel 180 miles to go and try and rob someone with 5,000 private security.
Mm-hmm.
You might, as you would see today, you might just about manage to get some people to band together and attempt it. And obviously there's going to be a lot of blood and whatever. But let's just forget that. We know that would happen. It would maybe be dealt with, it maybe wouldn't. But for the crime you're definitely going to see amongst like poor inner city people with vast amounts of population. Those people are the people that need police the most.
No,
I
they
know
don't.
people say things like, well, they just defend themselves with guns, but they're poor. Like they can't
Okay.
afford, they might not be able to afford guns or ammo. They might not be in a fit state to use guns and ammo. Maybe they're just not going to get on, maybe they're just not going to be quick enough on the draw. So for those people, I always think when they argue about it today, those people in the inner cities need the police more than
But you're literally talking, like, no offense, and I really don't mean to be provocative, but you're literally telling me that someone with a gun in their hand is going to have a slower reaction time than the police. You know what I mean?
No, I get what you're saying, but what I'm talking about like 1 in a million events. I'm just saying there's a plethora of reasons why someone might get on it first. But let's just go back to like the basic all-round premise. Poor people need police more than rich people.
Not true.
How is that not true? Dan,
Be-
I'm not even sure if I want to keep going, man. Like
Well, no,
you
well,
are being
like, listen.
really provocative. If you think
Well,
that poor people don't need police more than rich people,
they are
like, I don't
poor
know what to
because,
say.
because I was a cop. Okay.
Well, you were military police.
Yes, I was, but I
Fine.
understand law enforcement. I understand, a little bit of things. So what I'm saying is the poor people are the ones who get their rights taken from them.
Yes.
Okay. The poor people are the ones that can't fight back because they have their rights taken from them. The poor people, so it's not a poor thing. That poverty does not cause crime all the time. It's not always poor people that do crime. Okay. The reason why is because those communities are targeted by the police, and those are more and more essentially they are more and more patrolled, and it's because of the violence, but it's because they can't defend themselves there. If the police were responding just to do an investigation, okay, like who shot who, where are the witnesses, okay, do you have a video camera, do you have footage, okay, this was a justified shooting, you're good to go, sir. It's that simple. Investigators, those are what police are supposed to do. They're not there to protect and serve. They're supposed to investigate crimes, respond to crime.
Yeah.
So I have seen the statistics. I lived in Wyoming where there were many police. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And there just was not a lot of police there. And you just didn't really have to worry about. My cousin's a patrolman up there. The two places where people die from gunshots are in bars and places where guns are banned.
I'm not talking about this is the thing that I don't get. Like I'm not talking about deaths. Like I was using one example. I'm talking about police as a whole. So everything to do with police.
Mm-hmm.
So like everything, rapes, people speeding through a neighborhood and nearly killing a child, and you're like, dude, if someone doesn't stop that guy, he is gonna kill my child. Like thieving, burglary, muggings, like anything you want that is against the law. My thing is that I believe poor people suffer from crime more than rich people. When I lived in a really shit neighborhood, crime was rampant. When I lived in a really nice neighborhood, I didn't see one bit of crime.
But crime is compelled by the state. They're the ones that create the crime. Listen, I'm not talking about violence, man.
Beings.
I'm not. This is because the state controls them. They strip them of their self-governance and their self-responsibility. That's why you guys can't. I really do believe that no other person should be able to put harm on you. The police and gangs are not very different. One just has state authority.
No, I agree with that. And I agree that police are not extremely competent at what they do. And that's a fucking understatement. Like when you think of how, I don't know what it's like there, but in this country, if you get burgled, it's like, what's the point? They're not going to be able to solve it anyway.
And they don't really care.
So
you do it for insurance, probably.
right. Well,
so why do you need a cop for that?
Oh, you have to, in here, you have to get a crime number. If you don't get a number from the police, this is another thing about big government. See, I want small government, but I don't want no government. So anyway,
it's a myth, though. I guess that's my thing.
So here, you have to get a crime number, or you will get zero insurance because they just don't believe it happened. They're like,
that's the for your like the report number, like for the insurance agencies.
Exactly that.
But
so let me just say 10 seconds to finish off because I will not remember what I'm saying. So all of these tiny little bits of crime, people speeding up the road, thieving, burglaring, all of that stuff. My question is just, does that happen more to poor people? Not. You're saying yes, but it's the government's fault. I don't believe it's the government's fault. I believe you could go to any poor community in the world and see a range of loads of police to tiny police, loads of government to not very much government, and we see crime in all of our neighborhoods, like in all poor neighborhoods across the road. There are no poor neighborhoods in the world where the crime is lower than the wealthy neighborhoods.
Okay, can I ask you a question as to why the wealthy neighborhoods have less crime?
I would say, for one, they're distanced well away from poor neighborhoods. Like, two...
Well, I mean, that doesn't mean, like, why does crime not happen there?
Yeah, no, but that's what I'm saying. Like, most people that are poor... I'll go from experience. I lived in the shittiest neighborhood in Cambridge, which is a nice town, but there are some fucking horrendous neighborhoods. People don't have cars. So, like, if they're going to burgle someone, they're not going to walk 18 miles to the nearest suburb. They're going to burgle someone in their area. Like, we see it everywhere in the world. Crime is committed on your doorstep. So that would be my first reason. I guess the second reason would be, but I think that's such a big reason, but we'll say other reasons would be that middle-class neighborhoods are much more open. Like, there are much fewer, or at least in this country, there are much fewer ways to kind of hide from the police. Like, if you're in a nice cul-de-sac in the UK, it's going to be way harder to escape than somewhere where there's alleys and blocks of apartments and all that sort of thing. I'd say thirdly that people that are wealthier, and this will probably play into what you're thinking, people that are wealthier would have more security systems, better windows, better locks on their doors, cameras. So because they've got money, they're more capable of kind of making their property not easy. Whereas if you're in a poor neighborhood, and someone's just bought a 7-year-old car for like $1,000, they've got maybe lower quality windows, lesser quality locks. It's easier to break in their door and then evade capture. Mm-hmm. So that's what I would say is that are the main reasons that you get, like, and also the main thing is just desperation. That's the main reason is poor people.
Who creates that desperation?
Say again, sorry?
Who creates that desperation?
Well, obviously you think it's the government. I would just say that in any society that we've ever seen on the planet, the only way you could make things work is unless you want to go communist or socialist, in which case I would still argue what I'm going to say, everything has to be in a pyramid. Because unless it's in a pyramid, you're living in some sort of strange dystopian, like communist, maybe socialist thing, where you're trying to get everyone have the same amount of stuff. And so if you're in a pyramid, everyone at the bottom, there's always going to be many, many more of them. And those people are going to have much, much less. And the same reason that you were saying that it's the poor people that make the food and supply, the fruit, the vegetables, the meat and stuff like that. They're at the bottom. There's more of them and they have less money. And so if you have less money, you can't pay your bills or you can't provide something for someone, then some people, not all, but some people are gonna break the law. And not just about money and stuff, but just if they don't think there's anyone around to stop them, they will start breaking the law. Like, I don't know I don't really know what more to say because I don't know any poor neighborhoods that have no crime.
Well, do you have guns? Do you have high gun rights in those areas? No, you don't.
Yeah, but the criminals here don't have guns either. Like in London and Nottingham and Manchester, there are definitely guns.
Machetes, right?
Criminals. Yeah, exactly. It's all knives and machetes and stuff. So it's still putting you.
So what you're telling me is they take away your right to have a gun, but they let you die a brutal death through machetes.
Listen, dude, like 100% agree with you on that topic. But what we're talking about, without trying to get like off topic,
Can I answer?
You're
I do
putting,
have.
yeah, but
Okay, so
in your situation, you're saying it's gun on gun. So you're
well, like you.
equal. In
My
my
only thing is
situation,
like
it's knife on knife.
you just keep going. Like I'm not even saying this to be rude, like because you're like you answer the thing and then it goes like I can't. I'm trying to like answer one thing at a time for you. You know what I mean? Like I'm trying to like okay, like you do have poor people, but like it's not that middle class people don't commit crimes. They're different crimes. They're not violent crimes maybe, but pedophilia is way higher up in middle class, upper middle class. That's why they don't get long charges. You know, they get like 6 months in jail or like they get let out on probation because, you know, you only fucked a 5-year-old once, whatever, dude. There's a different, like there are crimes happening, whether it's just blue collar crime. They're just not violent. They're not violent in a literal way, but what they do is they are violent to the poor people by like stripping them.
I 100% agree with that. But this is not tackling what I'm saying. For every 100 middle class people, you've got 50,000 poor people. So do you need to police higher numbers or fewer numbers?
No, let them police themselves.
Right. So this goes back to my point. Who needs police more?
No, you're missing my point. Let them police themselves. Give them access to the resources like guns and ammo and self-defense and like better padlocks. Like people, the reason why, like I have lived with guns my entire life, and I mean massive amounts of guns. Okay, I don't go around just shooting people. Only people in cities are criminals who have guns. Just like criminals, like most likely will go around and machete somebody, right? You're not going to stop the bad guy. But like police and the state get a badge, they get a gun, they get to go do what they want, and they get to go run around, get qualified immunity, protection from the state. Okay? Like I understand how cops are trained. I'm trained better than most people will in their entire lives be trained. I understand the function of it.
But
what I'm saying is
we're getting off of what we're talking about. I'm not talking about the effectiveness of the police.
But like they don't need police. The police create the problem. The police say you can't do drugs, so that's a crime. So we're gonna take you out of your home, put you in jail for the next 6 months.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
I agree.
Like they create the system is creating the people that keep them oppressed or oppressed if whatever like they're the ones who keeping them poor.
I agree with you in that. I agree with you in that situation. Like if you're gonna make, as heartbreaking it is to see like fentanyl addicts and crystal meth addicts and stuff. Like yeah, I guess they made those free choice decisions.
Yes.
And they got those things, and I suppose that's the difficulty with knowing whether to legalize things like crystal meth.
Well, make it not illegal to have it possession of, and also, but this is the thing. This is the way it could be done. Like they're doing it where I saw a thing. No, they just did it in the United States somewhere. No, Canada. It's Canada. No, it's Canada. You can do heroin, so it's fentanyl-free heroin. Yeah. They're selling it to people. Like, okay, you want to live your life in private.
They're selling heroin to normal people.
Yeah, fentanyl free though, because fentanyl's become such a big problem. That people just, listen, it's none of my business. The thing is, if you're driving, and you kill somebody, like the thing is, do you like the police? We don't need the police to police us. They need to be there to investigate crime, put evidence together, be trained in that way. They shouldn't have authority. The thing is, they come in, they go, all right, like the A, B, C, D, evidence, we're good. Because people still speed, people still crash their cars and drive drunk, people still do all these things. Like then they can be arrested because the evidence points to them being drunk. But like they should, and like I'm not saying cops shouldn't be armed.
Should you be allowed to drink and drive?
No, listen, this is not about allow anything. That if you engage in an activity that harms another person, period. There needs to be an investigation. There needs to someone to look at this, an arbiter, somebody that can come together and just be like, okay, these are the facts. Okay, this is what happened, and we believe as arbitration, this is what's going to happen.
Yeah, I get that. Like, but you're not set on whether drinking and driving should be illegal or not illegal.
No, there is no legal or illegal.
Okay,
there's harm or no harm.
Okay. So you would say if you drink and drive and you don't kill anyone for most of the time,
No,
That's
don't
fine.
please don't put words in my mouth. What
Well,
I'm saying
I
is,
asked you twice, and you wouldn't
no,
give me
but
the answer.
that I did give you an answer.
You just said there's
I
no
said
legal or illegal, so
there
that means
is no
everything
legal.
is
There's harm or no
okay.
harm. I can't like you think it's completely acceptable what they're doing in Canada, where they can just pull you over and give them random breathalyzer, because that's what they're doing. They can
Ooh, I
literally just
dunno.
pull you over randomly and say, "Hey, it's 2 a.m. and you just look like, not even if you commit an infraction. Okay,
Yeah.
they don't even have to commit an infraction. They can literally just be driving. Cops can flip
Dude,
their
maybe
lights
I'm
on.
just too fucking like, I don't know, man. Like,
That's where it goes, man. That's what I'm saying. They
no.
always
I
want
understand
more.
that. I understand that. I just think that like I'm more of a. I used to be like super fucking anarchy, but nobody else was where I am. But I think as I got older, I kind of thought I just find too many things where I think I just can't see how that would work. Or let me rephrase this because I don't think I phrased it right. I can't see how it would work to benefit people better than it does now. And the reason that I say that is because I believe, like as one example, like going back to the police thing, which we haven't like really solved yet. I believe that, and I've heard a lot of people say at least this. If when they tell the police to do the blue flu, that's when they have more crime because
Well,
there aren't.
because the laws are still in place that keep these people in chains.
But I don't. Okay, but that's where we fundamentally disagree. I don't think that people only commit crimes because they have police in their neighborhood. I understand what you're saying, which is if laws didn't exist, there would be no crimes to break.
No,
Okay.
I think you're misunderstanding me. It's not police that cause the crime. It keeps it going, because you're telling people in a community, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do that. And then you de-arm them, you take their freedom away, okay? And you say, call us? That's ridiculous. Because now every single gang member in that neighborhood has the upper hand on everybody. Because if you get a gun charge in somewhere like Chicago, you're going away for a year, dude. You're going away for more. Like these things, it's bull crap. I will not accept the police should be the only people that own guns.
No, absolutely, dude. Like, I agree with stuff like that.
But
I'm trying to get to the
but it
base.
stops
Okay, go.
crime. It stops crime from happening, because if every gang member knows everyone in the neighborhood has a gun, they're less likely to just break into some guy's house. They're less likely to do it. It's just a statistical. It's not even an anomaly. It's everywhere that way.
Right. I agree with that. But again, in poor neighborhoods around the world, there are more crime than in other neighborhoods. Like, we can say, let's give everyone 100 guns, but not everyone is going to. I won't be ridiculous. We can say, let's give everyone a couple of guns, but that's not going to happen because obviously we don't have a government to kind of hand out the guns. So we would have to rely on the middle class getting people these guns, or assuming that the dirt poor people, because I'm not talking about working class, I'm talking about real, tough dirt poor neighborhoods.
Yeah, you're talking about like 10% of the population on average, 10 to 15%.
Maybe in America. Maybe in America. Yeah.
What's your poverty rates?
Pretty bad.
Like what? Like talking 30, 40?
24.
24?
Yeah, that's why I keep saying to people that American, you have the best country
this is
by a
the
mile.
thing.
Don't take it for granted.
And I understand that, but like every aspect of your life is controlled by government. Every aspect.
Right,
And
but
it's starting to happen here. It's not about. It's like you don't have the experience, right? Of like being like somewhere else, or like what I mean is like, you won't think it's bad until the police are at your door arresting you for not sending your kids to school because you disagree.
I've had that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I know
the
what
thing
you mean.
is, like, I was pro blue everything for all my life. And then I woke up when I saw them beating people in the street, okay, arresting people for not wearing masks, doing all these like crazy stuff. Some guys on the middle of a water in the beach. These are.
Yeah, that's fucking ridiculous.
No, it's all ridiculous. All of it is because it's all designed to control populations, to keep people pushed down, because they're not going after the middle class the same way. They're just not, because Violence is going to exist with or without the police. And the reason why you see increases and surges of violence is because they're trying to get stuff done before the police come back. If the police were never coming back, there would be some serious issues. But the thing is, when you're talking about state-sanctioned power, that's why I'm saying private security. People could get together. A city could get together and be like, we want to have a private, because there's too much legal protections for cops. They have they can hide things. And then we need more transparency. We need it's really about transparency. But the legal protections are a problem because I, as a citizen, have less qualified immunity. I have no qualified immunity, but the cop does, because they're going to have increased chances of interactions with bad people. So they're saying, well, you might make a mistake. Well, if I go do a DUI and I make a mistake and kill somebody, I'm going to jail. Okay? Like, that's it. That's the end of this. There's no breaks for us. And if you can't realize you're a slave, it's because we've always been slaves. We've always been on the bottom.
Yeah, I get that. Like, I can understand that point. But I just think, listen, man, like, everyone's entitled to their own opinion.
Fair enough, dude.
I just feel like, in my opinion, I don't know of anywhere in the world where you could have a huge society of poor people not suffer from crime, and they would be just as capable as the middle class, or is it you'd probably end up with elites and the working class. I'd hope that that the working class would pull up the dirt poor, and then the top of the middle class would maybe worm their way in to the elites, and then the bottom of the middle class would come down. So I think you'd have two societies possibly, but
there already is, though.
Can all protect themselves at the same rate that the middle class can. I think that's personally, and I think it's just like you're already talking about something that exists, and you're thinking that it would be. And the thing is, it exists, but now it's state power. That's the difference. Is if you take away the power and the state influence from being able to keep it this way, they are maintaining the system. Things are not getting better. Things are getting worse in America. Okay, things are different. They are. You were saying the same thing about the UK. That's why we started this. Things are not getting better. No, I was. Yeah, the only reason we're talking about this is because, like, I want very minimal government, but I don't want. I just can't see how, like, with human nature being human nature, I just can't see how, like, anarchism or anything close to anarchism is going to work. So I'm more of a libertarian.
Think about the French. Think about the French. They freaking take their dictators, their king and queen, whatever. They do their thing. They revolution. Now they're socialists. And now they're being about to go to get literally mandating vaccines onto their people.
Dude, we didn't even freaking talk about that. Fuck.
No, but like I'm telling you, this is the broader problem. Because you can't subvert something that doesn't exist. You can't subvert a government. You can't subvert institutions. Okay, because the thing is, freedom of choice. This is the saddest thing about like the UK, that you guys don't have a constitution like we do. We're lucky.
No, man.
We're lucky, dude. But listen to me. They don't think if the government doesn't care that that they care, then you don't matter. I don't matter. Okay. Like we don't matter to them, and we have to wake up. And the police do not care about you or me. They care about their families. They care about getting home. I don't blame them. Okay.
Yep.
But it's like when my friends go to Afghanistan or Iraq or wherever they went, they don't give a crap about those people. It's awful, but you got to kill them so you can go home. You don't view them as people. They're meat. And like that's something that's really hard for a lot of these guys. Why they come back, because it's dehumanizing. You kill somebody with no malice in your, with malice in your heart because you hate them, because you've been trained to. You've been told that they're monsters, they're terrorists, and then you realize that freaking 15-year-old. We don't have the right to do that. We didn't have the right. We're not the world police, right?
But I thought you were saying they're not. I'm probably misunderstanding.
Well, like think about this. Do you think America? Do you like what America does? Do you like how America marches into Iraq and Afghanistan and says you're not doing it right, so we're going to come down and lay down the hammer and occupy you? They literally go police these little third world countries, dude.
Yeah, no, I disagree with that. No, not with
But
the troops.
but
Like, I have a family member
no, for
involved
me,
in
my boys,
America.
I
Yeah,
was
yeah,
in it. But what I'm
exactly.
saying, stop. You gotta look at like it's the same thing. The police are occupying these communities, and they're not fixing anything. They're just perpetuating it.
Yeah,
It's
I
an
get it.
occupied
I
force.
think I totally understand. I think what I'm trying to say is, or rather, what I am trying to say is that, and I feel like I'm probably echoing Sean at
Oh
some
yeah,
point,
sure.
that I'm not sure I hold enough faith, especially having lived in these, and I know you have too. I lived in fucking dirt poor places. I just don't have enough faith that those people would be like, okay, cool. And I'm not going to like take the piss and be like they're
Sure.
going to sim
Yeah.
come by up, but I just can't see how those people don't need any help.
I have trust in humanity. I believe humans are good people. I believe in that. I know my fellow man
Mm.
wants to do better and they want to grow. This is why our channel is going to be popular. This is because cut the bull crap. The government and these people don't care about us. We have to care about each other. And thinking that any
I always
government.
do.
Oh, sorry. What'd you say?
I just said I said absolutely. I always do. Like if I see
Right.
someone broken down, I will never not stop for that
Exactly.
person.
But it's like so you're viewing these communities as a broke down car. And you're like, I'm gonna get out and I'm gonna call the tow truck for you. I'm gonna help you out, right? That's what you're doing. Like their phone's dead. Like this is how you view
Fix the
poor
car,
people.
but yeah, all
But
that, yeah.
you're a smart guy, right? I'm
Yep,
not. I have to call a
yep,
tow
yep.
truck. But you sit there and that's what you're gonna do. But if that tow truck shows up with a gun and a vest, and that tow truck is suspicious and starts getting shaky and weird because someone's reaching in their back to get the tire iron,
Yeah,
and then
it's a bit
they get
different in
shot.
America, I guess.
No,
Yes,
well,
yeah.
because I don't. But I'm just saying, like, it's literally they are paid terrorists. They are paid to terrorize you, to cause fear. Oh God, he's behind me. I really hope he doesn't pull me over. Shit, shit. Then the lights go on. It's not a good feeling when the lights go on. You go, the heart drops, it sinks, and you're like, fuck, I don't got money, man. I can't pay for this. Like
Yeah, it's crazy. It's funny.
the
Like,
government should never be able to issue fines, period. That should be unconstitutional and illegal. It should be illegal to issue fines.
it's an interesting point, actually. Like, we have. Sorry, I was just going to say about I don't have any money on me. I thought you were talking as in what it's like in Spain, where if you don't give them a bribe, they'll just whip out an Uzi and be like,
And just
"You owe us
beat,
$100."
yeah.
But yeah, like fines is an interesting thing because, like in this
Why?
country, they get given fucking targets. What the fuck? How can you give someone a target before anyone's Do you know what I mean? Like, and they'll be like, "Well,
Dude.
we could look at previous crime data," and I'm like,
But
"Right, well,
but you're
that means you're
smoking on a
assuming."
patio or something, and they're like,
Yeah,
that's $150 or pounds or whatever.
yeah,
Dude, listen, what it is, and this is the thing. This is what we got to wake up to. A business, like think about this, America, First Amendment. I know we got to go. Listen, Mark, I love you. I know it, but like I know we disagree on this, but what I'm trying to get you to see is very simple. Look at this. In America, we have the First Amendment, right? Right to
yep,
protest, right to freedom of assembly, freedom of speech, the whole nine.
yep.
A man during COVID would not close his gym. So they were fining
Yeah,
him.
was that
Doing all this,
what
right?
gym was that?
Atlas, I think. Atlas.
Yes, it
Atlas
was.
gym or something.
Yeah, it
Something
was
like that.
some
Something
Greek
strange.
fucking thing.
It's in New Jersey, I believe.
It
But
was,
do you know what they did? So he was raising money off of it because they were fining him so much money. The government literally just went into his bank account and took everything.
and they fucking flooded it, and they turned the water
Well,
off and everything.
allegedly, no one really knows. Someone
Well,
stuffed a bunch of toilet paper or paper in the back and they caused
yeah,
everything to flood. So like,
but
listen,
didn't
man,
they say they saw those guys which were on a
saw
Tim Pool?
a police vehicle or something nearby or
Right, right.
No, but like think about that. Like think about this guy has
Yeah.
his right to protest, to assemble, to have his business, and they literally stole money from him, and it's legal. They're
Mm,
like, no, we're just taking. Holy crap, dude, wake up! The
yeah.
police can literally come to your home and be like, you're doing meth.
Mm.
We're kidnapping you.
Yeah. Hey, listen. I
That's
don't. I
crazy.
think like you're such
I will
an
get you there, dude.
idealist.
I will get. I'm not an idealist though. Listen to
I'm
me.
joking.
No,
I'm trying to
I
wind
know,
you
I know,
up. I'm
no, but
joking.
like this is not like this. My brother said the same. He's like, you're an idealist. No, I'm a realist. I'm a materialist. I'm mechanical.
Yeah,
What I'm
but
talking
you
about
could-
is the basic function of how we're already getting screwed all the time by these systems. And it's like, why do we keep doing it to ourselves? They're not getting better. They're only getting worse. Look at the UK. Look at America.
Yeah.
They're only getting
Well, look at
worse.
everywhere, man. Like any fucking Western country. But no, I literally said those words because you said earlier about idealism.
Yeah,
Like
screw
I
you.
only
You got
said
me. You
that
got
to
me.
be
And also,
to be
I just
funny.
want to say this. Fuck Black Rifle Coffee Company. Fuck you.
Oh yeah.
Fuck. I'm making a video
Oh,
about
yeah.
it. Go check out Generation Now. Make sure you go check it out. Please go check out Zoobox too. I'm going to be making that's one
Link
of
is
my
always
first
in the
videos.
description. All of our
Heck yeah.
videos, the link is in the description to Generation Now.
Guys, I've been trying to record an album and it's going to be good. It's going to be awesome. I wrote a new song yesterday, but it's going on there. I'm just going to be pumping it out. I got a real producer now too. Like legit. Like trained, worked at Premier Record Studio in New York City. Trained the same place where Tupac got shot the first time. No bullshit. He took a picture of that stairwell. He just sent me a picture. I'm like, what the heck is that? And he goes, oh, that's where Tupac got shot. I was like, well, yeah, my homie. But listen, I understand. Like, and this is the thing. Like, I noticed about British people. Like, you guys are really polite people. You're really nice people. Like every British person I've met, like you're cool. Like you're just kind of like laissez-faire, get along to go along. At least the people I've met personally.
Yeah, that's fairly fair.
I mean, just like don't get into football. Just don't if you don't need to know
Yeah,
about
that's
it.
true.
Like just
That's
leave
true.
that crap alone. Support whatever side they're on, or they'll kill you. So I was like, I know that much. But I will say, like, you guys are, and like in America, we don't. There's a big. We are contrarian by nature. That's our
Contrarian. Yeah.
Yeah, we are contrarian. Like, oh no, fuck that. The government can't do that. Or hey man, screw you, dude. Like that's just who we are. And I know we come off really bullish and brash, but I tell you right now, I will die before I let anything like that happen in my country. Like I will go to jail. I don't care if I spend the rest of my life. I will give up everything because it means that much to me.
Yeah.
Now, I don't have a family, so maybe those feelings could change. I don't know.
Oh, it'll definitely change if you have a child, not necessarily with another.
Maybe I'll even become more radical. Maybe I'll become even more like my baby.
You tend to just. I'll tell you what it is, man. Sean will tell you this, or probably already has.
Down.
Oh, sorry. Hold on.
No. I was saying you tone down, like you like our last.
Sorry.
Like,
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like, and I don't mean this to sound like I'm being patronizing, like I'm not.
For sure.
But just for anyone that hasn't yet had a kid, like the only downside to when you have a kid is that you and your ideals, let's just say, no longer take first place. The only thing that is in first place is to protect that human being or those human beings, and you'll do everything you can. So it's really admirable that people will still be activists and idealists.
You have one kid, right? You just have one?
I have one, yes. Yeah.
But you don't have any other children, like externally or whatever?
No, just one.
It's like, I hope to God, like Lex Friedman tells, and Michael Malice are talking, and he tells a story about how his grandmother and his great uncle, I believe that's how it works, great uncle, were basically war zone almost type of effect in this little town. And the mother jumped on the son when a bomb was incoming, not the daughter.
Yeah. Oh. Jumped on the son?
Yeah, dove on him. Instinct. She just went for the first thing that, or whatever, but that stuck with that little girl. I hope to God you never have to make that choice. I hope to God that you don't have to have your children grow up in a world where it's black or white, or where the state has complete autocratic control over every element of your life, like how when I was in the military, where I was a pretty bullish guy, and I did say no a lot because I knew the rules. I really did. I knew the rules. I was like, no, you can't tell me that. I'm not doing that. No, sir. And they're like, excuse me. And I'm like, yeah, dude, go fuck yourself. I do that. I can tell you, I can literally tell you a story. Maybe you can save it for next week or when we do a live stream. But I was a part of a slave labor, like a legit, did not get paid at all extra for it. It's a really it's a big scandal. And I just kind of reminded myself of it last night. But there is I don't want us to have to make these decisions. And the state are the ones who it's like you're having to choose right now between educating your child, but you don't want them to be indoctrinated, but you don't feel like you're qualified enough to do it. Like yourself. Like that's probably the position most parents would feel. Or I have a job and I don't have the time. Like,
well, if you're asking, are you asking me, or are you just saying?
No,
in
I'm
general?
just saying, like,
Right,
generally, right? Like, those
right.
are some of the things. But I'm just saying, like, dude, they're your kid. Like, I understand things could be difficult. I get it. But my God, they're your children. It's like, would you really send your kid to go to Hollywood? Would you really? Just because they might get rich and wealthy?
Fuck no.
What about, like, the Victoria's Secret? Like, all these models come talking about how they've been abused.
Yeah.
Like,
For
do you
like
love your
3
kid?
pictures.
Do you love your kid? What? And that's what when Adrian Curry said that to me. And it's like, do you love your child enough to make them feel pain in the beginning? It's going to be a transition. It's going to suck, or your family will have to struggle. But until these systems will continue to get worse. And listen, I just love my fellow man enough to say, like, wake up, dude. Like, we need to do something radical. And I don't mean burn cities down. I don't mean destroy shit. I mean just stop listening to them. If we all just said, see ya. 300 million people, nope, you're on your own. Military put their guns down. Just took it.
Yeah.
Everyone walked away. I mean, that is idealistic.
Yeah,
that's idealistic.
And I know you know. Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
And I know that you know these things. I know that you're not like a full-on fucking ideologue or ideal. Oh, I don't know what the difference is, but I think like one of the things that it's not about the fact that I don't have faith in my fellow man. Like probably of everyone I know, I probably have the most faith in human beings. Probably too much faith.
The government has no faith in people. They have no faith in you. Yeah.
But what I would say is, it's not necessarily about like my neighbor. I got faith in my neighbor. I got faith with the farmer down the street. I got faith with my fellow people in, let's say, Jacksonville. It's not just that. For this to work and have like no negativity at all, you have to have faith in the CCP and like Chinese citizens to stand up to the CCP. Now that'd be amazing, but like my point is just simply that, like, I'm not making any points that are like, this is what would happen, this is what would happen, and this is what would happen. My points are, I don't know what would happen because of things like the fact that the CCP, for example, have their country, which is a quarter of the world, in such line that like these people love them. I know you can't say that about, like, we don't know what the majority really feel.
I mean, really, because like I was gonna say, like, if you say that shit out loud, like, I hate China.
Yeah, exactly. Like when you're not allowed to say the opposite, how do you ever know? But there are a lot of people like, oh, dude, my dad, right, when he was dying, he had a Chinese nurse. She was from China. She'd come over, and she was telling me like how amazing China is and stuff. And I was like, yeah, it's a really beautiful country. I love sharks. It's kind of heartbreaking that you're decimating all the sharks. You're lucky as one of such a few countries on earth to have great white sharks in your own waters. It's a shame that you hunt them because there's so few of them. And she was like, China amazing. UK shithole. And I was like, I'm sorry, what?
Well, like,
and she goes, just 1 second, dude. She says to me like, it's an amazing country. She goes, people that are looked upon here as rich are poor in China. And I was like, but you're lying. Dude, she was so like,
okay,
brainwashed.
This is the thing. Everyone should love their country that much. Like, I believe everywhere else outside of America is a true shithole. Like, there's America, then there's shitholes.
Well, I've said to you 1,000 times, like, America is a fucking good country. That doesn't mean you don't improve it.
Yeah, this is the thing. That's why I don't believe in conservatism. I'm not trying to conserve shit. I'm trying to be. I
like the phrase conservatism, though, or for conservative, because if you go so far beyond the thing that you want to conserve, you might know what roughly you want. But you're not going to conserve what's here at the moment because it's beyond what you want.
No. Conservatism is keeping things listen, you got Democrats like just want to tear it down.
Who aren't Democrats, yeah.
But you know what I mean. The left wants to tear shit down. The right wants to just keep things the way they are. I just want to make things better. I want to improve. I want to remodel some rooms. I want to make sure that, maybe kick out the CEO and, maybe the board of directors that controls the entire building. Maybe that's what needs to happen so that like we can actually evolve as people, evolve as a society, be an example like we have been, and continue to be that example. Thinking the government is the example. No, the American people are the example. The image is the government. That's the billboard. That's the fancy propaganda. It's when people come to America and they're like, Americans are fucking obnoxious, but they're pretty cool.
I wasn't nodding my head for that. I thought you were going to say
no,
something else.
but you know what I
Like
mean. So the thing is like conserving what? Conserving the fact that I keep losing my freedoms because all we do is try to conserve.
That's what I'm saying.
It's we got to find something. I'm talking constitutional extremists. Extremist is probably a bad word.
Constitutionalist.
Yes, fine. I want to be an extremist because the government already views me as one, but I just want to like nail it home, Ding, ding, My buddies in the military, dude. Do you know what they're telling him?
What?
Everybody's an extremist. Literally, you can name it: environmentalist, anti-government, anti-capitalist, socialist, communist. There's like literally like QAnon, they're terrorists. Dude, like seriously, like create white supremacists are terrorists, like blah blah blah. Like they've named
Jen Psaki saying that they're gonna start monitoring people's phones audio wise.
Oh, dude,
did you hear what she said? She said about censorship and like we've increased the level of censorship on social media forums. But then yesterday, that was the day before yesterday, I think. And then yesterday, they were talking about how they're speaking to Facebook and Google about designing an aid to monitor people's phones through microphones. What? How are they going to monitor that?
That already exists.
Yeah, right. But it does. But like,
but you're talking like in public. That's what I'm saying, dude. Like, what? Yeah. What? You want to be? They want to be like they're going to be hearing me talking about vaccines, and they're going to be like, excuse me, it says that actually they like go fuck no, dude, I'm done. Like this is what I'm talking about. No way, dude. The federal government coming out and saying, well, we're working with Facebook. We got a list of 12 people. A list of 12 people, which means you've been spying on them through Facebook.
Yeah.
Analyze them, telling Facebook that these people are extremists or whatever, misinformation, dude. Like, I'm sorry. I don't need a government to tell me who is bad or not. I can see it with my own dang two eyes. If someone's trying to harm somebody, that's a bad guy. If someone walks up and gives someone a handshake, that's a good guy. Okay? Yeah. Like, this is not a complicated thing. They have made us fall into some psychosis. And I just want it to stop. I will say this. Not having a government could be bad. But when we already have it and it's already bad, why not try something different? We know socialism doesn't work. We know communism doesn't work. We kind of see that constitutional republic, not that great either. The parliamentary system has a fair share of its own problems. It's like, what happens if we all, we just step back and we go, we're all just going to do our own thing for a while.
Yeah. Well, listen, it blows my mind that they haven't. And I know there are communes and there are little towns in the hills of New York State where they have started certain places. But like, it blows my mind that there isn't somewhere bigger of all countries in the United States where someone has started like, I don't know, like a quarter or like a couple or three of whole counties in a big heartlands, the plains state where it's just completely libertarian. We don't have to start with complete anarchy. Not that I think that would be a horrendous idea in that size.
Fair enough. But I think what you're missing the point is those do exist. Wyoming is a really good example. They're really, dude, very rarely you get pulled over. You don't really get messed with. You can be 16 walking with a gun on your hip in Walmart, AK-47. No one cares.
So do people flock to Wyoming?
It's cold.
Other than being cold as shit.
It's cold. It's cold, man. But no, Wyoming's a beautiful state.
But you just said about sacrificing everything. You won't sacrifice.
I would. No, I'm just saying it's cold. No, I'm just saying it is cold. That's a fair criticism, dude. You want to be negative 50, negative 40 with the wind chill, dude.
Depends if I was free or not, man.
Exactly. But I didn't get to experience it as a free man, so I was enslaved. I was a slave. But there is a fundamental difference between Wyoming and New York, and that's population. Population
I get
size is
that.
way different. Demographics are different. That's fair. Okay.
Mm.
But look at San Francisco or Sacramento, run by a Republican. City's completely safe. Police are like, people can have guns there. They're a little bit easier. California makes things difficult, but way less crime. How can you explain the difference between Sacramento, run by a Republican, and then Democrats? There's some ideology that
Wait,
functions.
say that again, because I was just trying to picture Sacramento in my head in the map.
Sacramento has the
In
lowest,
California.
like super low, high
So that's
population.
in California, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And then San
At the
Francisco,
top.
LA are tanking, right? They're like cities are basically on
Right.
fire, riots and stuff. So like
Yeah.
there's a fundamental difference in a Republican's ideologue, but they still don't want to let go of government. But we're closer to that side. Republicans are slightly closer to saying, I just want to leave people alone, right?
Mm.
Like Gavin Newsom just passed UBI, no limits for all Californians, like because he's trying to get reelected because he
Are you
get a
fucking
recall,
kidding me?
bro.
He's just passed a UBI.
Basically,
Do you know how much that costs a year?
it's a lot.
So, because
Billions.
obviously it's not for like every single person, but
Every single person.
no. Okay, well, sorry. The thing I'm talking about, they weren't going to give it to every single person. It was going to
Right.
be everyone over the age of 18.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, it was 2.3 trillion a year.
Yeah.
That's the UK economy. Now, look, I know America's economy is a giant compared to everyone except maybe China, but it's still like an eighth of the American economy. You're just going to hand over. And if you do that, and I know you know this, all you're going to do is just inflate it. You're just going to inflate money, and then that money will be fucking worthless. It will be like getting 50 quid.
It's a joke.
Like, what happens if you just add in an extra bunch of money into the economy?
Well,
money goes down.
I don't know where they're getting it from. I mean, they say they're like financially solvent. They have like a surplus. This is what they're. Listen, honestly, I don't give a crap what California does.
It's fucking ridiculous.
But like, I honestly just think if you're not out by now, I don't know what you're still doing there. Like, I have no idea, dude. Like, I see there's this woman I follow on Twitter. She used to be a Democrat, and she still is. But she's like, this is insane. Like, I can't leave my house. I can't do this. I can't do that. The thing is, we see everyone says small government. That's an imaginary thing to me. You can't have small government. It's there is no such thing as small government. It's like imagination land. Like, we need to decentralize power, and this is what the communists get right. It's about power. That's what the communists and socialists. It is about power. This is about control, and the government is always going to try to control you. Always. There is no. That's why they exist. But with technology, we don't need them anymore. We don't need them for me to be able to talk across the world and do trade and mail stuff. Like, I got it. Like, we can do it. Like, we might have to pay more because of FedEx or whatever. But, it's just all I'm saying is, like, we need to just change things, and we need to be constitutionalists. Like, we might have to secede from the nation.
Well,
and I'm in
all Americans, in my humble opinion, should be constitutionalists, because
I know, I can't believe
from what I understand, and from what I see, and take it from someone whose country has clamped down on, because we did have a constitution of sorts, obviously the Magna Carta, and then you have English common law, which is still written down and stuff, but they just pissed all over it. If you're not constitutionalist in a country that has such obvious things like freedom of self-defense, and you're happy to give that up, you're insane. Like, even if you're a constitutionalist and like a part-time socialist, so you believe in helping out down and out people or whatever, you should first and foremost be a constitutionalist, because without that, like with the Constitution, you could do what you want in your area, but without it, you can't.
Well, the problem is, this is the problem. Constitution does have government in it. So there is government structure in that. We do need to, I think, make amendment to the Constitution. Convention of States, 2/3 of the states that need to come together, and we need to say we're disbanding the federal government completely. And then state legislatures can start working on their own. You can legislate your way out of government. It's possible.
I just can't see how you can have zero government and still operate.
No. Like, we could start with getting rid of the federal government. Let's start there.
Yep.
Getting rid of federal authority completely. Like, I'm cool with that. Like, then we just have to worry about the states. But we need to be just as armed as the states, But
I'd love to know, like, how many government employees there are in the whole of the US?
Oh, I think 3 million, 4 million, something crazy.
Fucking
Don't quote me. It's something
So like
ridiculous.
1 in
It's the
100
largest.
people.
Huh?
1 in every 100 people is
Works for the. Well,
politicians.
if you include state government
Dude,
and
I
federal
believe that.
government.
Yeah.
No, I think it's probably more like 10 to 15 million, maybe.
It's insane.
We have state-run prisons, state-run
I mean,
hospitals.
it's
We have
bad here,
state-run
but-
mental facilities. You name it, dude. Like everything. Like this is what I'm talking about. And they're always the worst places to go. Is the state-run stuff. Private stuff is always better. Like private prisons
Well,
are
yeah,
always
'cause-
generally better.
Yeah.
You know, like they're nicer. I think the Swedish got their prison system down packed. Like they live in like these open air prisons, but like with homes.
Oh, that's Norway. Yeah,
Norway,
is
yeah,
fucking
yeah.
amazing.
You know,
dude.
they're all
It's
the same.
crazy.
But
They have mass murderers like chopping beef.
yep.
But they do it because they're so easygoing that like it just seems to work. I don't know how. It's risky. It's very risky. But
It is.
there's a point that it does work. It does work.
Like if you're a guy who like beat the crap out of somebody and you have to
Right.
go like, you know, you might have like go to a psychologist, you go talk, you do your thing, but it doesn't ruin your life. Like, you know, and they want to institutionalize people. These systems are built this way. Like this sort of talk, like they are not trying to make people better by sending them to prison. They're just not trying to help people.
No,
And that they're turning our schools and our country into a giant military prison, and we need to wake up. That's what I think.
yes, they do. We've gone 31 minutes over. So that's that.
I talked to
I listen. I just want to send out a message to the French, all three of you that are listening. I hear that your government is banning you from hospitals, pharmacies, and doctors' surgeries if you don't have a double vaccine wristband. Stand firm.
Oh my God! Don't stand firm.
Because
rush through the doors.
Well, yeah, I'm talking mentally. Don't give it.
Oh my God!
Stand firm, mentally. Like it's ridiculous what they're doing, and I know that some people from other countries, they're doing it because they're panicking and they think, well, this will help. So even if we have to.
The French had 800,000 vaccinations in one day after the threats from the government.
So I feel for you, Frenchies. I know we have our disagreements. We've been fighting for 1,000 years, but I'm thinking of you, and I hope that you continue to fight the fight against Macron. I know he sucked up to you, and he said some strong words of like nationalism and anti-Americanism about wokeness, anti-wokeness, and then like anti-Islam, because obviously there's been all these fires from, from the Muslims, from some Muslims. But he was doing that to get re-elected. He's now been re-elected, and now he's bending you over.
Dude, see? It's all a sham, people. Wake up. Get rid of your governments. Get rid of your governments. Don't institute a new one. Just get rid of them. See what happens. Give it a try. And the French are crazy enough to do it, and that's why I love them.
They really are, man. So I'm thinking of you.
And, me too.
Okay, so we'll finish this off with some songs on a light-hearted note. Do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
Why don't you go first there, sir?
Okay. So my first song is a very light-hearted 90s feel-good song. A very beautiful lady, I believe, from Switzerland, but from Sweden, but it could be Finland. The Cardigans, My Favorite Game. Digga down. Wow, 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 wow. You'll love it. You'll know it probably.
Sounds good. I'm got John Prine or Prine. I think it's Prine. Prine. Angel from Montgomery. Really good, classic, old school folk kind of country songs. Really good.
I fucking dig folk. Let's see. I'm just taking them off my list. Yeah. Queen. Too Much Love Will Kill You. And I kind of like that because Freddie wrote that after he knew he had AIDS. So if you listen to the words, he's talking about how depressed he is, how he can't find anyone to be with him full term. He just doesn't, feels alone. It's back when gay people actually couldn't really come out. And, he's saying, too much love will kill you.
Wait, did they not know he was gay when he played?
No. My dad was a huge Queen fan. And he suspected he was because he's a bit camp. But they didn't have as much media. Like now, we can see everything Queen's done, But back then, you saw an album cover, and that was pretty much it.
I mean, he
and-
was a masculine gay man for the most
I
part.
mean, yeah, like
his older years, he was a little more masculine, like blue
yeah,
jeans, white tank top, and
yeah,
maybe the bracelet around the bicep might have given it away.
and the
But
tax, yeah.
yeah,
But yeah, like, so yeah, too much love will kill you in the end. He was talking about his own life. Some people have said that he wasn't, but come on, Matt. Like, if you listen to the lyrics, I mean, every single thing he's talking about, from the fact he couldn't tell his family because although he sounds 100% English, he was actually from Zanzibar, which is an island in the Indian Ocean. Originally, the people there were from India itself, and so they remained like Hindu and Sikh. I believe his family were Hindu, and it was a very religious family. You couldn't tell them. Very depressed. Obviously, he died of AIDS in '91, and this song is a good song.
good song. I got Ugly Casanova, the song Barnacles. That's actually the first iteration of Modest Mouse. So Modest Mouse had a band before then called Ugly Casanova. And the song Barnacles is pretty cool. Check it out.
Okay. And my next song is going to by John Bon Jovi. And so tempted to do an old classic, but maybe I won't. Okay, I'll do Bon Jovi, Bed of Roses. It's a love song. There's a lot of nice little guitar riffs. And, whatever you think of Bon Jovi, he had a good voice. And yeah, it was a great song.
Fair enough. I got the White Stripes, Dead Leaves in the Dirty Ground. It's off their White album. I think it's something like that. The White Cells or Blood Cells. But it's a great album. Yeah, I definitely recommend checking it out. I love Jack White and the White Stripes, so they're good.
Good stuff.
Two-piece.
My movie, which I'm picking off the top of my head, I'm gonna go for a classic, like family. It's kind of cheesy. It's one of those just big blockbusters that they roll out to make a bunch of money, but it's actually quite a cool watch, especially if you watch the whole thing. Because some people tend to clip off the beginning and the end. Battleship with Rihanna.
Nah, dude, I've never seen it in my life.
Yeah, it's a massive like summer blockbuster. It's got Rihanna. It's got the guy that plays. Oh, what the hell's his name? He's an
I know
X-Men
the
that
guy.
flings
Yeah.
cards.
Yep. Gambit.
Anyway.
He's the guy from Waco. He's in a lot of stuff, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, he is. Yeah. He's got like a German name. I believe he's Canadian. Anyway, Battleship. I don't even know if the film's called Battleship, but it's based on the game Battleship.
Yeah.
Aliens come in. It's a cool film.
Fair enough. My movie is The Phantom Thread, directed by Paul Thomas Anderson, another one of Anderson's films. Also starring Daniel Day-Lewis, same guy who directed There Will Be Blood. Really great movie, really deep psychological movie. Do not watch this movie if you are going to be distracted. You have to pay attention. It's kind of about the relationships and how pain can sometimes bring us closer, but it might be like a necessity, almost like an abusive relationship. It's weird. It's really good. But before we go, I did want to read this. This is just so I get the title right. This is from Mikhail Bakunin. This was written over 100 years ago. It will be the reign of scientific intelligence, the most aristocratic, despotic, arrogant, and contemptuous of all regimes. There will be a new class, a new hierarchy of real and pretended scientists and scholars, and the world will be divided into a minority ruling, in the name of knowledge an immense ignorant majority, and then woe betide the mass of ignorant ones. That's why I want to get rid of government. Because that's exactly what's happened.
Okay, and on that bombshell, thanks for joining us, guys. And
go check out Zoobox, please. Go check out Zoobox, my other channel. Go check out Generation Now. That nothing's there yet, but I'll be posting stuff, I swear.
Links in the description. All good fun. You. And thanks for joining us, guys. And we will see you.
Much love.
Next time. Cheesy.
Winston stopped writing, partly because he was suffering from cramp. He did not know what had made him pour out this stream of rubbish